Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días, aquí tienen el horario para hoy, jueves el 29 de septiembre. Due at the end of Tuesday or Wednesday, the last time we saw each other was your reflection, the discussion surrounding the film Machuca. You guys did an excellent job with that. We're actually going to take some time to acknowledge the responses of some of your classmates. You guys really did phenomenal. Homework for the break. You really don't have any homework for the fall break. Just to begin to think about your Dia de los Muertos ofrenda, the memorabilia that you would like to collect to decorate that ofrenda. Our daily objective for today, as you can tell, is to compare and contrast views toward death and how death is commemorated in Latin America with those views of you and your family's culture or religion. Our to-do today, to start off, the warm-up question is, how do you and your family honor, celebrate, and commemorate the lives of friends and family members who have passed away? What customs, holidays, traditions, celebrations do you and your family partake in to honor the lives of those who have passed away? We'll share those out as a class, as we all come from different cultural backgrounds, so share that wealth of experience as a class. I'll also share the highlights, as I had said before, on the discussion that we had surrounding the film that we watched earlier this week for Machuca. We'll talk about prior knowledge that you already have of El Dia de los Muertos. Perhaps you learned about it in Spanish 1 last year. Perhaps you learned about it in middle school, or that you practice it, or through media you've acquired some knowledge. So we'll assess our prior knowledge of the holiday itself, and then we'll go over some notes associated with this PowerPoint. Dia de los Muertos PowerPoint. You can access it by clicking here. The link here for the prior knowledge of Dia de los Muertos is a video summary of the highlights of the film Coco. So that would be good to watch. Only a couple minutes long, but it goes over the highlights of the film Coco, which came out a few years ago. That really does a great job of highlighting Dia de los Muertos and the distinctive characteristics of it. Then, as we go over the notes from that guided PowerPoint, there are some comprehension questions for you to answer. You can find those here by clicking on that hyperlink. These are due by the end of today, so we're going to knock it out during class. Take a picture and submit. Make sure that those submissions are successful, so either at the end of class or when you guys get home, just make sure that everything was submitted successfully. And then for the remainder of class, I'll assign to you your Dia de los Muertos assignment, which will be due at the end of next month. So we have a full month to work on it. Really, I don't want you to do much over the break. Just think about who you would like to celebrate and what memorabilia you would like to begin to collect to create their ofrenda. So again, after the warm-up, to kind of activate that prior knowledge, connect personally to what we're doing in the classroom. The whole objective for today, again, is to compare and contrast the views toward death and how death is commemorated in Latin America with those of you and your target family's culture. That is the learning objective for today. And so to start off, how do you and your family honor, celebrate, and commemorate the lives of both friends and family members who have passed away? Jot down a few things that you and your family have done or typically do to honor those who passed, and then share those things with your partner. And then again, this all surrounds the assignment for the Day of the Dead, which we'll go ahead and look at now. See if I can fit that in the window there. Perfect. So for El Dia de los Muertos, this assignment is going to be due on October 31st for A days and November 1st for B days. You guys are going to create an ofrenda for a family member or members that are no longer with us to celebrate their life and memory and continued presence in our lives. If you've not experienced loss in your life, the loss of a family member, or if you're at all uncomfortable sharing that loss, that experience, the memory of that person with us, then you're welcome to choose someone else that's maybe less close, a pet, a family friend, or maybe even a mentor or an idol in your life. But to the extent that you're comfortable, really to come together, not in fear of death, but in celebration of death. That's what Dia de los Muertos is all about. Celebrating death as part of life, and that the presence of these folks, although they descend to the land of the living, when we set out the ofrenda so they can enjoy in that celebration, they continue to be with us. They live in us, in the memories that we have of them, and the way that we try to invoke those memories and those characteristics that we cherish and honor about those people in our everyday lives. That's really the premise of this assignment, is to partake in that celebration and to honor those lives of those who've passed. So to do so, you're going to choose 5 items for your ofrenda, 5 items that remind you of that person. It could be their favorite food. It could be pictures. Should at least one of the ofrendas should at the very least be a picture. Could be some written correspondence, some cards or letters that you exchange with that person. Could be, really memorabilia, things that remind you of that person. Things that maybe they gave you as gifts, or you gave them as gifts, or images that invoke memories that you share of that person. Really, every item should tell a story. And that's the written component of this assignment, is to tell that story. What's the symbolism behind that item that you chose? How does it remind you of that person? What memories does it invoke? Tell that story. Recount that memory of that person, and in doing so, we will learn about you through those memories that you'll share with us. And certainly learn more about that person that you've chosen to celebrate. So that's the assignment. It really brings us closer together as a class, or at least it's been my experience. This will be my first time doing this assignment now that we've been back in person, which is crazy to think about. So I'm really looking forward to your guys' submissions, your contributions, your stories, and I will share with you mine, of my family. So you can find this assignment, the PowerPoint here, the comprehension questions for the Day of the Dead here, submit those here, and then the project that I'm describing to you, you can find here. And some examples that I came up with. So this is my Uncle Mike, who passed away in February of 2010. And not my uncle, my first cousin, but the relationship was that of like a brother to my father, who's on the right here. Can you tell? Can you see the resemblance? Yeah, spot on, right? Yeah, Mike was special. Lived life with a humor and vigor and really just easygoingness that is really admirable. As an adult now, I really admire the way that he lived his life with such nonchalance. Not in a bad way, but just easygoing is the best way that I could describe it. Just didn't take life too serious, and for someone who kind of does from time to time, I can really appreciate that laid-back sense. So I'm going to honor my Uncle Mike for El Dia de los Muertos as I usually do at this time of year. And so you can kind of see these are the items that I'm going to bring in. And then I have the written descriptions to accompany them. You don't have to type it. You can handwrite it if you'd like to. It should be 5 sentences long, about a short paragraph for each of the items. And then in terms of what the ofrenda can and should look like itself, you can click on that here. A lot of people like to do it as a shoebox. I'll show you some examples in class. But it should have at least five items to create the ofrenda, and those items should be accompanied by those descriptions. We'll put them out on display on the day that this assignment is due. Again, October 31st for the A days and November 1st for the B days. But when we put the items out, you guys are going to do a gallery walk and do your in-class observations, and that's this assignment here. So for each ofrenda, you guys are going to put your classmate's name, the name of the person that they've chosen, and then an aspect of their ofrenda that you really like, enjoy, or find interesting. And that can be in English or in Spanish, and just a 1 or 2 sentence description. You do this on a notebook sheet of paper, and then submit in Canvas. So in a nutshell, that is your agenda for today. Y'all just kind of setting the table for when we come back, getting ready to get into the holiday season. And culturally, a big part of Hispanic culture and Mexican culture in particular is this celebration of death as part of life. So I look forward to enjoying that celebration with you, learning more about you and your families. And I hope you all have a wonderful and restful fall break, y'all. Nos vemos. Adiós. Chao.